Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creator.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today. Today, we have a special guest.
Hello, I'm Donald McDaniel with the band Honey Madehas based in Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. I really love that name, the band name. Can you kind of tell me, where did that come from and how did
Yeah,
you guys
it's a little bit of a backstory. I won't give you all the details, but we were originally a band called Mama K and the Shades. It was founded by David McKnight, a saxophonist that was previously with a band called Black Joe Lewis and the Honey Bears.
Nice.
And he toured with that band for quite a few years. Always wanted a band of his own. And he got together with a female lead singer named Kelsey Garcia, and they started talking. They decided to start a band called Mama K and the Shades. This was, I think, like 2013 or so, 2014 in that area. And eventually, I think it was 2014, David McKnight wanted to expand the band and add horns, which is when I came into the band, and then the trumpet player, Joseph Marrow, actually were added. So we had a good run. We played a lot of years as Mama K and the Shades. It was in the summer of 2015. We had a gig in San Marcos. I don't know if you're familiar with the Central Texas area, but San Marcos is just south of Austin, between Austin and San Antonio.
Nice.
And there's a big university there, Texas State University, and a number of the band members had gone to school together at Texas State, so they kind of knew each other, and that was kind of the nucleus of the band. We had a gig at a coffee house on a Friday night there in San Marcos in June. I think it was June of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a beach theme. We were already in swimming trunks and Hawaiian shirts because it was in the summer, and the coffee house had a beach volleyball court, and it was kind of the theme, kind of a summer beach theme that night.
Love it.
And the band, a number of the band members after the gig decided, let's go for a swim. And in San Marcos, it's pretty common to go for a swim in the San Marcos River that flows right through town. And it's just a thing to do there in town. It's kind of a lazy river right there, so it's not really fast current. And I said, well, yeah, but I live way north, up north of Austin in a suburb, and I said, it's just a long time. I'll just pass not going swimming tonight, but I'll catch you guys later. I get up the next morning and I'm looking at my phone, and there's these cryptic messages like, we lost David last night. We couldn't find him. I was trying to, like, what are you talking about? You lost him. Well, as it turned out, when they were swimming, he went under, and then they spent time looking for him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then a fisherman found his body downstream on Saturday morning after the gig.
Oh my gosh.
So he drowned that evening.
I'm sorry.
We persevered. I mean, it was really emotional. We met because Kelsey Garcia, the female lead singer, and David and a couple other musicians were renting a house together in South Austin. So we met at the house that Saturday night, and we just talked through things and said, well, we got to keep going. That's what David would want us to do. I don't think he'd want us to split up as a band. I think he would want that legacy to live on.
Yeah, definitely.
And we had quite a good run. We were Artist of the Month by Austin 360. I'll never forget, and that first show after his death was like in July of 2015 at Empire Control Room and Garage, a pretty popular venue here in Austin. And that was really emotional. The first time we performed without him.
Yeah.
Sure. Kind of fast forward, the band was doing well. We had released a record, and actually the name of that first record as Mama K was titled Honey Madehas, and I'll tell you why that is later. But we get in the studio, and we're working with Steve Berlin of Los Lobos to produce our first full album. That would later become the album we released under the Honey Madehas name, Brand New, released in 2020.
Nice.
But this was in the fall of 2017, so a couple of years after David's passing. And, Steve Berlin is a Grammy award-winning producer. He has a certain sound, a certain standard he wants to live up to when he's producing a band.
Yeah.
And we were all subject. I mean, none of us were immune. And growing up, I was a band director.
Nice.
Most of the musicians grew up in formal, they were formally trained musicians. So it's just part of the thing. You get criticized for playing, and you get held to account for your playing, and there's a standard to be upheld. And I think I wasn't in those sessions, but I think Kelsey was struggling with a bit. And there was obviously a band can kind of be like a marriage, and there were some holdover.
Yeah, I
can
imagine.
Anyway, she ended up quitting in the middle of that recording session. Here we are with Steve Berlin producing this record, and the female lead singer leaves the band in the middle of the session. So,
oh my gosh. And you're just like,
yeah. So we had to retrack a lot of the tracks, took her out of that. And we brought in a guest female singer for a couple of tracks because the primary songwriter, Willie Barnes, who's lead singer for the band, really felt he needed a female lead singer for those tracks. So we brought in Tamara Mack, is her name, to be a guest on the record. And then we finally finished that record in like early spring 2018. And then we're sitting here going, well, we can't be Mama K in the Shades anymore. We don't have the female lead singer. So what name are we going to release this record under?
Oh.
And we had no identity. Whatever the name was, no one would know us at that point in time. And so we kept kicking around names, and finally someone said, what about Honey Maid? We thought, well, yeah, why don't we just use that? And the reason that was important is David McKnight was a favorite expression of his, that whenever the music was really good, he would just say, oh, that's Honey Maid.
Right.
That's Honey Maid. And we go, well, let's just use that.
That's
and
cool.
So anyway, I know it's a long way to answer your question, but that's how the name came about.
I love that. No, that's
a way of paying tribute and honoring a founding member of the band.
Yeah.
We stayed together, and it took us a while to get brand recognition. It wasn't until 2019 until we really felt we got some fans behind the new name. Even though we were the same musicians, it's like a new band to the fans.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I love that, and it's a pretty big band. I saw the picture. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
So that's and we held off releasing that record until we had really solid name recognitions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I released it in the middle of the pandemic, but we felt that it was good, and it was a good thing to release it in the end. So that's kind of the backstory of the band, and kind of brings us to where we are today.
I love that. I was gonna just ask about the song that on the EP that you have that just released, Ashy Pockets.
Yeah.
I and it's super relatable. Everyone, I'm sure someone, or at some point, and people experience it now, like are at a job that they don't like, or they feel like it's a dead end. So what made you say, yes, this is like, was this like a unanimous decision to make this song?
It was kind of an organic thing. We were actually working with a radio producer, John Ryan, who's actually produced a number of Grammy award-winning artists as well, including Santana.
Nice.
And some other folks. And he was looking for a track he could that would be promotable on the radio. And he liked this. We had a previous version of Ashy Pockets that we released in 2020 that was more weed centric or forward with that. And he liked the song, he liked the verses, he liked the hook and the choruses, but he felt it was a little too over the top for radio to be that out front with
right,
the green stuff. So so we reworked the lyrics, and there was kind of that sentiment in the original track that we kind of like, well, what's this character really, why does he want to smoke, or what's kind of the backstory? And that was Chris Barnes, our drummer, came up with the lyrics.
Nice.
and the producer liked them. And yeah, I think it's a sentiment that a lot of people have at various points in their career, you know, that you get in that job and it's just not working. And what are you going to do?
What
But
are you going to do?
you can't quit. You still got to eat as this, you know, you're kind of stuck there in the moment till you figure out what else to do. And very relatable, I think.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was really young, and I think my first like, I guess, job, I had a moment like we were in the break room and everything went kind of quiet and it was like slow motion and it just hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I
Right.
cannot do this. This is not what I want to do. And then
Right.
that just kind of prompts me to, go off and discover the film stuff that I've always wanted to do. I think it
Yeah.
was just, I think a lot of people just fear. I think people don't know.
Well,
It's like the
yeah, I
unknown.
mean, it's obviously paying bills and being
Yeah.
able to take care of things is, you know, we all have to do it. But you have to
Yeah.
have the courage and the vision to go find what it is that you really want to do and to make it happen.
Oh yeah. I have a fun question. Um, if you could be managed by any, artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, living or dead. I don't know, all of a sudden the name escapes me. Famous producer Quincy Jones. I
Ah,
think if I personally, the band members may have some others, but I would love to work with Quincy Jones. And
Quincy Jones.
yeah,
It,
because
did he discover Michael, or was it
well,
written?
I don't wouldn't say he discovered him, but he certainly produced a lot of Michael's records and had a big imprint musically. You know, from what I know of Michael, he didn't really play an instrument. He didn't. He would sketch out song ideas, is what I understand his process was. And
Ah,
then people like Quincy Jones and other musicians have helped bring those arrangements to life.
mm-hmm.
He was a very, from what I know, and others probably know a lot more than me about Michael Jackson, but very talented, obviously a great dancer, good, extremely good vocalist, very good musical ideas and thoughts, writing lyrics and all that. But again, without the formal training, he needed some others to kind of help do the orchestration and the arrangement for him, you know.
Yeah, I guess it's like, yeah, and I'm curious, like, how you feel about it. Being an artist, I feel like it's so saturated with the music world. It's like always a new song every day, and it's like, how do you stay, I guess, relevant? Do you find? I mean, how do you guys stay? I don't know. Like,
Uh,
what's your process with that? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Is it
well,
getting any better?
yeah, and if you listen to our music from the first EP we released, actually released that in 2020. Some of our earlier works are more R&B, straight ahead R&B, maybe a traditional soul sound.
Hmm.
To this new record today, where we keep experimenting with genres and how to even mix those genres in the same track and come away with something that sounds like it wasn't just kind of thrown together, but it really
Right.
fits musically, even though they
Right.
might have different musical elements to them. So for us, I the way I explained it to someone the other day is that we like to perform music that's exciting for the fan or the listener as well as the musician. We'd
Yeah.
like, if we can hit that balance, we're not trying to write something that's very esoteric and, you know, oh, how, you know, some musicians say, oh, that's really inventive, but the fan doesn't really care much about that.
Right. Yeah.
It has to be listenable, something people can move and dance to and enjoy. Obviously, Ashy Pockets is a little darker song than we usually do, but still relatable.
Yeah.
And I think that for us, that's what we keep looking for, those exciting combinations of musical sounds that are good for the listener as well as the musician, you know.
Yeah. 100%. And you're doing great. I mean, I mean, you guys are, it sounds amazing. I watched a few of your videos on YouTube, and I really like, just how you guys are very well blended. And I wonder with bands, like, you have your like back in the day, your TLCs, your Destiny's Childs, your NSYNC, and those kind of people. I always wonder, like, is it hard to be in a band? And because I'm sure everybody has their own, like, I want to do this. I'm feeling like I want to create something like this. Or do you guys kind of have your own as well, separate outside of each
So
other?
our creative process, usually it starts with a small group, a single writer or a couple of writers coming up with the song,
Yeah.
like, sketch out the lyrics. They have the chord structure. They kind of have the arrangement. And then our process is, once it gets to a point where they feel it's a song and ready, we'll bring it to rehearsal, and then we start working on the arrangement collaboratively. And then the
Gotcha.
lyrics may change during that time. We may try different chords occasionally, reworking the chord structure or some. But it's kind of unspoken in our band. It's like, leave the ego at the door. Like, we don't have
That's good.
time for people to get off on that. We're trying to make music here, and at its core, that's a collaborative process. Like,
Yeah.
you can be a solo artist, but we're a band, and so we have to work together to make this music happen. And it just doesn't benefit us to have egos be a big part of that process. Like, we're not competing with each other, at least in my mind. I don't think anybody in the band thinks that way. Like, we're not competing for limelight.
Right.
Fortunately, that's not what this band is about.
That's good.
It's, we're trying to make good music, and whoever's a good idea, great, bring it. We love it. Like, anybody that has a good musical idea, we're all in favor of that.
Definitely. Have another question, and this is, there's no wrong answer. But the 3 levels of influence: money, power, or respect. And if you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
I don't know how the rest of the band, but I think the rest of the band would probably, I think we want to be respected. And one of the hallmarks of our band is we're a really good live band, and we really enjoy playing for a live audience.
Love that.
And so, if we can't translate that to the fan listening to us live, then we feel like we've missed the mark. And so, if you talk about now, having said that, I'll give you a quote, one of my favorite quotes from the musical Fiddler on the Roof. Tevye is in the bar.
I love that movie. Oh my God. Love that.
Anyway,
movie.
Tevye is in the bar, and he has these conversations with God. And one day he's having this conversation with God. He says, "Hey, God, I know money is not such an important thing, but if it's not so important, would you mind giving me a little, And I kind of feel that way when you talk about money, power, and fame. Like, we love the music as core, and we do it because of the love of the music. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to get more money on the way, right? Like, that would be
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of got to have it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For touring, and then to perform the equipment.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just a lot.
Well, and I guess as a large band, there is a frustration that comes with that, especially as we're still trying to build our audience. And some talent buyer will say, "Well, I can get a 5-piece band all day long for $500."
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. That's great. We're a 9-piece band, and we're not for $40 a person. Okay, that's just not going to happen. So it's things like that, like, because of the digital age, and you probably have heard this from other musicians, it's just hard to monetize the product.
Oh yeah.
It's just hard to get paid for it. So if we were in it strictly for money, we would have quit a long time ago, because it's always about the music.
Right.
Now that we're performing music, I'm kind of like Tevye, like, could we get paid a little bit for that?
Oh, is it free gigs that you're doing when you perform?
No.
Okay. I was like, oh my God.
We've made our way up to where
Great.
we have a baseline of compensation that we look for.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's so interesting about that. I mean, I feel like it's also in the film world too. I was talking to a filmmaker friend of mine, and they're up and coming in the industry, and they're going to school right now, and I've been in film for almost about 17 years now. So they were asking me advice. They're like, so when do you start charging? I'm like, well, that's a good question.
Well, it's interesting. I share with my son was a radio, TV and film major at University of Texas. And so he's a production manager for Warner Brothers Animation Studios.
Nice.
But at the beginning of his career, we had these conversations, like everyone was wanting to offer him some very famous directors, these unpaid internships, right?
Right. It's like,
and he finally just said, I'm not going to be your unpaid gopher. Like I'm not going to just be unpaid talent for you. I'm not here. I want to learn the business and I want to do well, but I got to get paid for it. So I totally understand as a musician and also other creative arts, that's an issue too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a thing. And but I think now, like I said earlier, like we're in the digital world now that like AI is here. There's so much online. I mean, everything's online, honestly. And so I definitely use that to my advantage to like cross-pollinate. Like it's YouTube, okay, Amazon, okay, over here, all these streaming places.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's out there. It's just trying to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't work, and yeah. It's definitely a journey in this, I think, for music and film entertainment.
Obviously music hit that digital threshold earlier than other but now it's impacting everybody in the creative world.
Yeah, definitely. What I was going to ask you, what was your favorite, like, do you have a favorite song? Like, and then like from like just the band of what on this EP?
Oh, yeah, it's the old, which is your favorite child kind of question.
They're all my favorite.
Right, exactly. But some stand out for different reasons. Like, we'll start with Ashy Pockets that we talked about earlier. I think what I like about that is the message, I think is but it's a really different for us, a really edgy kind of song that has some even metal and rock influences that you don't hear in other songs. And so I like that edginess to that song very much.
Nice.
Then which we released this track Upstairs, which is on this track. We actually released that as a single last year, but we did a radio version that edited out some like the talking lyrics in the beginning of it. But that's a very traditional Motown kind of song sound with really good harmonies, close harmonies. So I like that track for that reason. Then you move forward to a couple of the tracks. Love It, which is primarily written by Willie Barnes and Donald Ford, who are both young parents. They have parents they're parents of young children, and they're talking about their first experience about bringing a child in the world. And and the way they explain it is that they were kind of tired of not having a song dads out there, right? Like,
right.
Message out there is dads are a bunch of freeloaders and they're not taking their parental responsibilities seriously. They want to say that's not us. Like, we really think it's cool to be a dad and that's important. And so that song has that kind of message, but it mixes some hip hop influences. And I think it's just really it carries the message well, it carries the message well. Then the track FYC, which you can probably surmise what the FYC probably means, but it's like we're just fed up with this stuff going on in the world today, like with everything going on in politics and the world landscape, wars, and like
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and you have to get away from it sometimes and disconnect because it's everywhere, really. It's like, I mean, it's everywhere. Billboards, you're like, oh my God. It's like
I've already named 3 tracks, so I won't go all the 7, but when I think about the record, I think in my mind, I think that's what I like each song for something different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Nice. For those that are listening and, the one, kids or anyone that wants to try to get into this entertainment business,
Mm.
what advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, just practice your craft. It's when you're young, especially if you're a young musician, there's this kind of concept of 10,000 hours. You need to spend at least 10,000 hours on something to be really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time of your life when you can just go in the practice room or wherever and just be that musician that you want to be.
Yeah.
You're probably, especially if you're young, you're not going to have that time any other time in your life, right? Where you can just, like, whether you're a basketball player or, I gotta work on my craft, whatever that is, and be the best musician I can be, singer, whatever. And so that's the first advice. And I was a music educator for 9 years, so I kind of understand that. And then and it can't happen too early, is understand the music business. Like once you have mastered your craft, now maybe you're a good songwriter on your way to being a great songwriter. You're capable of putting a song together, performing it. Now you have to do a lot of other things to be a successful musician, and things you probably don't want to do or enjoy that much. Marketing, self-promotion.
Oh, yeah.
Learn how to handle money and where it's coming from and how you get paid. Really understand this whole social media landscape and marketing. Like, it's a 24/7 thing for musicians.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing something every day to promote the band, the song, the gig. So just and understand that. And then if you want to record, then you need to understand how to record, or the different ways you can record. Creative people you can work with to get your records out there. This one thing that's good about today, especially for a young musician, is get some money together and put together a good home studio, because there's so many tools out there, and you can learn a lot doing home recording with all the technology that we have today. So I don't know, that's some of the advice I would give. Work on your craft.
That's great.
Get to where you can be a good performer. Then start learning more about the business, how to do other things, self-promotion, marketing, how you distribute your music.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. I hear about that too, the business part of it, the music. And not only just, even big artists talk about this, about how it's really hard to, like, owning your stuff and all this other stuff. And it's just, it's cool to be signed to a record label, which is, everybody wants that, I guess, that thing, that push. But then it's also the independent route too. It's like, you never know. It's
And so one of the big changes you're probably aware of, this is not the 60s, 70s, or even the 80s. And so big label deals like they had back in those days just don't happen. And if you do sign with the label, the first thing they're going to want you to do is to get on the road and start touring. Right.
Okay.
And so while they will help you market your music and get you out there, you're not going to just sit at home and collect royalties off of records these days, or digital streams.
Right.
And so you have to get on the road, you have to perform live, and that's where the money is really going to be made. So
yeah, things have changed.
Things have changed. So even if you get the label deal, understand it's not the same as it was when people were buying tens of thousands of vinyl records.
Yeah. No one buys records anymore. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But and where can people find you on social media so they can follow you guys?
It's really easy to find us on social media at Honey Madehas. So it's consistent across all social media platforms. Our website is honeymadeatx.com. So, in social media, put the ampersand in front of Honey Madehas and you'll find us.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on everything that you guys are doing. And I wish you nothing but the best. And thank you so much for your time today. It was so
You're welcome.
lovely talking to you.
If I could just add one thing, if you know anybody that would like a good edgy song about somebody struggling, we'd love a sync license to deal for
Yes.
Ashy Pockets. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody who's listening, go follow and yes, collaborate. Yes.
Collaborate. Thank you so much
that.
for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's great meeting you.
You too. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.